fans of all ages, this is indeed the Morik Show, coming to you live from Studio A here at Ramapo College of New Jersey in Mahwah, New Jersey. Thank you very much for tuning in on the odd hour of 7 o'clock. But the main reason why we're starting at 7 o'clock tonight is because we have a special guest here on the Morik Show tonight. In about 10-15 minutes, WRPR 90.3 FM alum and ESPN New York 98.7's own Don La Greca will be calling into the show very shortly. I am very, very excited to have this guy on. He has been a huge supporter of Ramapo Radio, and if you know the story of me and trying to get this station back on the air, it was a huge, long, grueling process. We didn't have live air on here for a year and a half, and we got it back in February. And honestly, a lot of that has to do with Don and everyone at the Michael K. Show, Michael K., Ryan Rucco, Ryan Hurley, the producer at the Michael K. Show, everyone at the Michael K. Show. They gave us a huge, huge shout out once they found out that Ramapo wasn't on the air. And I'm very excited to have Mr. La Greca on the show. I've watched him and his show almost every single day. I listen to Ranger games because of this guy. It's an honor to even think that he wants to be on the show. It's unbelievable. I'm honored that he wants to come on it. Before he comes on, we got some stuff to talk about, especially involving the New York Rangers, who are moving on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. They won their series 4-1 on Friday night. Carl Hagelin clinched the series with his game-winning goal in overtime in Game 5 at the Garden. And they're playing the winner of tonight's Capitals and Islanders game, which is Game 7, which I'll get to soon. Even though that they won the series 4-1. I'm going to be honest, I think the power play is still an issue. I said it the last show, I'll say it again. With a month left in the regular season, they had the 10th best power play. Now they have, at the end of the season, the regular season, they had the 21st best. Going into Game 5, they were 2-16, and they were 1-3, 1-4 in Game 5. So 3-19, 3-20 on the power play. Every win was a 2-1 win for the Rangers. They lost Game 2, 4-3. That means they scored 2.2 goals a game against Marc-Andre Fleury. And Marc-Andre Fleury, in my opinion, is no elite goaltender. .920 save percentage in the regular season, which is 15th in the league. 2.32 goals against average, which was 15th in the league. This series, he had a .927 save percentage and a 2.2 goals against. Now, it's not a huge difference, but honestly, the Rangers aren't putting the puck in the net. Now, they're very lucky that Lundqvist played great, because if he was averaging 2.3 goals against, then who knows where the series goes. And Fleury played very, very well. Remember, he had 36 saves in Game 1. He stood on his head for the series. Now, assuming... Well, no, never mind. They already won. The Rangers advanced. I think the Capitals and the Islanders are both worse than Pittsburgh. So I think that if the Rangers play like this, they'll have no problem in the semifinals. And I know I've had a lot of Ranger fans tell me, this is how the Rangers play hockey. They win these 2-1 games. They're not a 4-2, 4-3 team. They're a 2-1, 2-0 team. But what happens when they probably will play Montreal in the Eastern Conference Finals if both teams make it, obviously? What happens when you can't score on Marc-Andre Fleury? If you can't put the puck in net against Marc-Andre Fleury, what makes the Rangers think that they're going to put the puck behind Carey Price? Carey Price was the best goaltender in the NHL this year, and honestly, it's not even an argument. This year, in my opinion, he is the Vezina Trophy winner. Now, I know they're shooting the puck a lot. Game 1, they had 38 shots. Fleury played, he was phenomenal and had 36 saves. But the later on in the games, they had 24, 25 shots. Good things happen if they put the puck toward the net. Now, obviously, most goalies do not stand on their head like Marc-Andre Fleury did in Game 1. But let's be real here. They're not shooting the puck enough. Now, their physical play is great. And you know what? That physical play just dropped a bunch with the loss of Matt Zuccarello for this series. They say he has an upper body injury. It might be a concussion. That is bad for this team because Matt Zuccarello is he's a nut. He's like an Energizer bunny on that ice. He's little, but he's quick, and he is not afraid to put his body on the line. Honestly, Zuccarello is one of my favorite players on the Rangers in the league. I wish the Devils had someone like that. Because the Devils, A, would be a better team because they're not physical. They can't shoot. They're slow. Zuccarello would be their main goal scorer, honestly, and that's not a good thing. But that's me talking bad about the Devils. We're talking about the Rangers here. Again, their physical play is great. I think even with the loss of Zuccarello, I think their mental toughness will still be very high. But again, they will most likely have to play Carey Price in the Eastern Conference Finals. If they're not scoring on Marc-Andre Fleury, they're going to have a very, very tough time scoring against Carey Price. You want to know Carey Price's stats? He ranked first in goals against. I think it was like a 9.35. No, excuse me, that was his save percentage. His goals against was a 1.91. 1.9 goals a game during the regular season. Carey Price is one of the best goaltenders in the league. And if I'm a Ranger fan, I'm not worried about Washington. I'm not worried about New York, the Islanders. I'm worried about Montreal in the next round. Again, this is the Rangers. They win 2-1 games. They play in 2-1, 2-0 games. They're not a 4-3 team. They're not a 3-2, 3-1 team. They score about 2 goals a game. I think they average 3 goals a game, which in reality, I mean, I don't know what that ranks in the NHL, but Carey Price doesn't let up 2 goals a game. Marc-Andre Fleury does. And the Rangers are going to go out there and expect to score 2-3 goals against Carey Price. If I'm a Ranger fan, I'm nervous because Carey Price doesn't let up 2 goals, literally. The stats say it. His goals against is a 1.91. And by the way, they still have to get through Washington and the Islanders. We're not even up to Montreal yet. Now, I think they'll beat both. But I think Washington's the better team, but I think the Islanders would be the tougher competition, mainly because of that rivalry and that home crowd at the Coliseum. They have to score goals quickly in order to shut up that crowd at the Coliseum. Game 1, when Stepan scored that goal 36 seconds in, I thought that was going to be an offensive showcase for the rest of the series, and I was wrong. When they play the Islanders, something like they're not going to score in 30 seconds, but they have to score early on in the game, especially on the road, because that atmosphere at the Coliseum is going to be electric. If the Islanders win tonight, this would be their first round series win since 1993. They haven't advanced to the second round of the playoffs in 22 years. That is unbelievable. Now imagine that, knowing that stat now, and having to go into the Coliseum against one of your most hated rivals. It's going to be tough. They have to score quickly to shut them up. I think the Rangers would still win, but honestly, I think the only reason why they could lose to the Islanders is because of that home crowd. And you know what? That series is going to tire them out, because they're going to want to play 100 times harder, 100 times faster, and they're going to. And that crowd is going to tire them out. That series has the potential to go 7 games, definitely. And you know what? It might be the same thing with Washington. Washington's a tough team. That series could go into 6 or 7. And then you have that series, and then you go against Carey Price and the Montreal Canadiens in the Eastern Conference Finals, when you're not scoring that much. The Rangers need to turn that offense around, in my opinion, because I don't think they can get to the Stanley Cup Finals winning games 2-1. Because it didn't happen last year. They lost the Stanley Cup Final because of that. So I think that they need to start taking advantage on the power play, because when something's given to you, you need to take advantage of that. They have to score on the power play, and they have to start putting the puck toward the net. 22, 23 shots a game is not going to cut it. They have to put up at least 30. 30 is ideal. You would hope for... Montreal's a good team. If I'm the Rangers, I'm hoping for about at least 25, 26, because 22, 23 is not going to cut it. If they get about 27 shots on goal a game, then I think they're in good hands. And they're going to need more, I think, because of how good Carey Price is. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest has arrived.
Hello.
Don La Greca, welcome back to WRPR. How you doing?
You know what, I'm embarrassed because I asked you for the phone number, and then it brought back a lot of memories when I saw it. So I thought maybe you would have changed it after 20-some years, but it's the same phone number.
Don, thank you so much for coming on. It's an honor, and I want to give you a personal thank you for the shout-out that you and Michael and Ruko gave a while back now, because honestly, without that shout-out, I don't know where we stand with this radio show right now. So thank you very much from me and from everyone here at WRPR. It was incredible.
Well, listen, I'm not doing what I'm doing right now without that radio station. So when you have alerted me, and when many different people alerted me about the situation, something had to be done about it, because quite frankly, I learned more where you're sitting right now than in any class. And then that's not to take anything away from all the teachers that I had. They did a great job, but the hands-on experience, I think, set everything in motion for me to be able to do what I'm doing right now.
Right. I hope I can eventually say the same thing. So what were your 4 years like here at Ramapo? What was it like being in the chair that I'm sitting in right now?
I'll tell you what, because of the radio station, 4 years became 6 years. Because I spend way too much time at the radio station and not enough time in class. So, unfortunately, my parents, were middle class, so I was taking the minimum credits. and working at a pharmacy in Glen Rock, New Jersey. So between that and spending so much time in the radio station, it actually took me from 86 to 92 to finally graduate. But
Right.
It was so much fun. The sports that I covered, doing basketball games and baseball games, but the Beast is Unleashed, the metal show that I did on Friday night, trouble that I used to get into sneaking bands into this radio station after hours and getting in trouble with not only the security at Rambo College, but sometimes the police, made it for a lot of fun. But in all seriousness, it was the best choice for me. I could have gone to bigger schools and maybe not got a chance to be on the station until my senior year or junior year, but I have nothing but fond memories about that school. It was some of the best times I ever spent in my life there.
The police probably saw your mullet back then and said, all right, we got to get this guy.
Yeah, no, exactly. But there was, we had a nice show, The Beast is Unleashed. We played a lot of metal music, and a lot of local bands came on. And I remember when they threatened to take us off the air, security wouldn't told us to get off the air because we were sneaking bands in, and I refused to get off the air, and they called the police. So the Mawa police came, and it was like a scene out of a movie. There were like listeners that drove to the parking lot and were listening to us in their cars and on their boomboxes outside, and we were able to talk our way into staying on the radio station. It was a lot of fun, but we got to know those guys, and they were cool.
Good.
But we were taking it seriously, like they thought that we were just messing around, but I was trying to tell them this was important to us. And radio's always been important. It was never a way to goof off. It was never a way to kill time. It was something that I was very, very serious about. And if you take what you go to school seriously, you can definitely make something out of it.
Good. Believe in what you stand for. That's what I live by. So you do ESPN Radio with the Michael Kay Show. Pre and post with the Rangers. You got to call the Stanley Cup last year. I'm sure that was incredible. You called Game 2 in the first round. You do stuff for the Jets. When you were at Ramapo, when you were at Sports Phone, interning for Howard Stern, did you expect any of this?
No. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I went to Ramapo to play baseball. I was recruited to play baseball. They won the World Series, the Division III World Series in '84. And I went to Ramapo thinking I was just going to play baseball, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I had won a communications award my senior year in high school, so I figured, I'll just take communications. And when I got cut from the baseball team, it just seemed natural to go and cover it. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would get to where I am now. I always felt like I had a chance to work in the business. I thought I might be good enough to have a job in the business, but like you were just kind of talking about the things that I do, I had never dreamed that I would get a chance to do and cover and meet the people that I've got to meet. So I've been very, very fortunate that way.
Hey, I think you would have made a good baseball player. I saw that picture on the Michael Kay Show today. You look good in those sweatpants.
Yeah, with the shorts over them. That was a big '80s thing back then.
Nowadays, we do the shorts underneath the sweatpants.
Yeah, nobody thought of that. The '80s, it was listen, with the mullet. There was a lot of decisions that we made because it was acceptable at the time. And certainly, 30 years later, not looked upon the same way.
Right. So, do you have a favorite moment in your career so far?
Well, calling Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final has to be up there. To be the hockey guy that I am, and to do play-by-play for that significant a game on the road in Los Angeles, and all that entailed is, it was a dream come true to be able to do that. To do pre and post in those championship games for the Jets in 2009 and 2010, to be in the building in Indianapolis and Pittsburgh, and knowing how important it was to that fan base, and to be able to do that, and just to be on an afternoon drive show, to be a part of the Michael Kay Show and to grow into that has been great. That first time on WFAN doing updates was a dream come true as well, because all those years I listened to the station and get a chance to work there. I had to pinch myself when that happened too. So there were different stages, but those are probably the three things that jump into my mind. That my first experience as a fan, having listened, and then I described it to somebody that it was like getting called up to the major leagues.
Right.
To work at Sports Phone and do updates on 10-10 wins on the weekends, and to get called up to an all-sports radio station like that, blew me away. And then working with Michael and then doing the Jets and the Rangers has been a dream come true.
Right. You mentioned how big of a hockey guy you are. You work for the Rangers. Well, you work with the Rangers, but you grew up a huge Devil fan. I'm a huge Yankee fan, and if I worked for the New England Sports Network, I don't know how I would be able to call a Sox game and cheer for them. So was it hard to drop that Devils fandom?
Nah, it really wasn't, believe it or not, because you love what you do, and you kind of root for you. You want to do well, and you want to be able to get as far as you can in the business, and you never know where the business is going to take you. And as big a fan as I am of the teams that I grew up with, it wasn't nearly as big of wanting to do so well in my career. I mean, you know where you are now. You make investments. I can't tell you how many times I worked making no money, working 16-hour shifts, doing all the grunt work in hopes that the day would come where I'd catch a break. And so when those breaks come, you can't really sometimes have the choice of, well, I like the opportunity, but I'd rather do it for this team, or I'd rather do it in this market, or I'd rather do it in this way. You take them.
Right.
And so as big a Devil fan as I was growing up, to be around hockey, to call games for the Rangers, to be able to broaden my career, it was really a no-brainer. It was a very easy thing to do. So anybody out there listening who couldn't fathom doing what they love to do for a different team than they root for, then I'd have to wonder, how much do you love doing what you're doing for a living? If the only way you could do it is to do it for your favorite team. So, I would say to you, you're a huge Yankee fan, but if an opportunity came to do the Mets or the Red Sox and you couldn't do it because you hated that team so
Right.
much, then obviously you're not in the right business, because you and expanding your career should be the most important thing in the world.
Right. Hey, it could be worse. You could be Rothenberg and leave your house for 3 days when the Giants lose.
Well, he's got some issues there. We make fun of it, but in all seriousness, that guy's got a lot of problems. But we love him, and he's going to have to face his kids one day and explain that story to them, and I'm not sure they're going to appreciate it as much as some people do.
I love hearing that story. Speaking of the Rangers, they won the series 4-1. You know a lot more about the Rangers than I do, but are you at all worried that the offense hasn't been putting the puck in the net? Every game they won was a 2-1 game.
Yeah, but you look at Montreal, they won 6 games with Ottawa, and every game was 1 goal except for Game 5. You look at Anaheim, who swept Winnipeg, and 3 of those 4 games they trailed in the third period. These are the playoffs. Nothing comes easy in the postseason.
Right.
I mean, Tampa was a heavy favorite, and here they are facing elimination tonight. The Capitals haven't allowed a power play goal, and yet they're playing in Game 7 tonight. So, it's not like the regular season where you can get fat on some of the bad teams and get on a roll and catch teams on a bad night. Everybody's got the same schedule, playing the same team, a team that's very familiar with you. You don't look at the final score as much as you look at, hey, they won it in 5.
Right.
And we've seen this team struggle in the early rounds before and had it cost them a chance of winning a championship. So I don't think you care that all the goals were, all the games were 1 goal and all wins were 2-1. They won it in 5. They're going to get a nice rest going into the next round. That's the way you got to look at it.
Would you rather them face the Capitals or the Islanders next round?
Just selfishly as a hockey fan, I want it to be the Islanders. But
Right.
I think even if you're a Ranger fan, you got to like the Islanders because of the fact that they're so banged up on the blue line. I mean,
That's
they're having
right.
to play Leddy and Boychuk so many minutes because Wisnowski is injured and Hamannik's hurt. So I think you'd rather go with the more banged up team, and certainly I think they can beat both of the teams. But I think even though the Islanders had their number early, I think that the Islanders would be the team that you'd rather face.
What about the injury to Zuccarello? How do you think that's going to affect the Rangers?
it really depends on what it is. I mean, if it's a broken jaw, I think he can come back and be fine. If it's a concussion, which I think it might be,
Right.
you never know, because not only how long will it take him to come back, but also how will he play when he comes back. Remember, a big guy like Rick Nash suffers a concussion, and you saw him having struggles getting into the dirty areas. I mean, this is a guy that's diminutive in size, and if he can't play his game and rough it up, that could be a major problem.
Right. We're talking to Don La Greca on WRPR 90.3 FM, Ramapo College Radio. Moving sports, how impressed are you with the New York Mets? Outside of the Subway Series, but what is it, 10 out of 14, 10 out of 15, something like that?
Oh, you got to be impressed with them. I mean, that's the best record in baseball. I know it's only April. I know that they've played some teams that are considered less than 500, but, hey, they're hitting. They're situationally hitting. They're playing well at home, which they never seem to do. They've got a tremendous pitching staff. All right, they lost 2 out of 3 of the Yankees. So what? That was at Yankee Stadium. But I think you got to be absolutely thrilled. Does it mean they're going to the playoffs? Does it mean they're winning a championship? Absolutely not. But there's nothing wrong with having the best record in baseball this deep in April. That's good.
The thing that I'm most impressed about is the fact that things were not going their way, and they come back anyway. Mejia is gone. Okay, no problem. David Wright's gone. No problem. Darno and Blemis, they get injured, and they still win without them. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's got to make you feel good that they can win without some of the key members. And, you take it back to the Rangers, look at the injuries they suffered during the year.
Right.
And they just seem to get stronger because of it. Remember, you're not just judged on your best players. You're judged on how deep you are. And Morik comes up and he does the job. Campbell comes up and he does the job.
Right.
Amelia becomes the closer. He does the job. So that's what really judges how good a team you are. Now, over the long haul, that's going to catch up with you. They got to get these guys healthy. But it also shows you that they got the character to handle it, and more importantly, they got the depth to handle it.
Are you concerned about their infield, though? I mean, Murphy has been atrocious. Wilmer Flores is Wilmer Flores. We're waiting on David Wright, and Lucas Duda, he's no above-average fielder. So is that a main concern for you?
Oh, I think that's a major problem. I mean, that was the thing that I was worried about going into the season. How would they defend? And I don't know if over the long haul they're going to hit well or be among the best offensive teams in baseball. So they're kicking the ball around. I don't know what you do about it. I mean, you could put Tejada at short and move Flores to second, but then you'll lose Murphy's bat. But Murphy hasn't really hit anyway. I don't know what you do with Murphy. Nobody's going to want him.
Right.
Al Leiter made a great job. Made a great point on the broadcast Saturday that you can't really send him to an American League team in DH because he doesn't hit home runs.
Exactly.
So I don't know what the Mets do there. I think you're just going to have to grit and bear it, and maybe at some point some team is interested in Murphy and you can deal him away. Maybe you bring Herrera up, but I just think Murphy's bat is too important to sit on the bench no matter how bad he's been to start the season.
Right. I agree 100%. Moving teams, A-Rod hit his 659th career home run last night. Do you think he should make his $6 million?
When Michael Kay brought up the aspect of the contract that I had not heard reported elsewhere, that there's no obligation to give the contract, give them the $6 million. I think they have a chance to win this thing, but ultimately, I was talking about it on the air today. I mean, does anybody really care I'm passing Willie Mays? I mean, does it matter? I mean, there's a whole generation of fans that don't care about the numbers anyway.
Right.
So it's not like he's hitting the most home runs ever. He didn't pass Bonds. He didn't pass Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know how much money you can even make off of it. But, hey, it's in the contract. He's a player for you. Sometimes you need to be the bigger man and just give him the money because that's in the contract. But there seems to be an ugliness around it. But others have reported and said that it's no big deal. So I get the Yankees trying to fight to take that off the books, but sometimes you got to live with the language of the contract, and I guess we'll figure out how it works out. I don't know how they, even without PEDs,
assuming,
how do the Yankees actually make money out of him fourth in the home run title? I don't get that.
Yep, agreed. The NFL draft on Thursday. What would you like to see the Giants and Jets do?
Well, the Giants need to bolster that offensive line. You've got all that money invested in Eli Manning, and he's not a mobile quarterback, so They have to address that offensive line. They've tried it via free agency the last few years. It really hasn't worked to the level that they want it to. So if there is a player, I know there's a couple that could be an impact player at that pick. I like offensive line. And also, there's nothing wrong with offense. I mean, there really isn't. I understand that you've got two great wide receivers, but do you really have a third? Is Ruben Randall that good?
I think Dwayne Harris is that good.
Yeah. So, you just wonder, is everybody going to be able to come back healthy? Is Victor Cruz going to come back and be 100%? He says he will be, but we'll find out once he plays.
Yep.
So I think offensive side of the ball, they can always use a linebacker. But to answer your question, offensive line, I think is the key.
Yep. How about the Jets? A lot of rumors about Mariota. Who knows? Really, who knows? But what would you, if you were a Jet fan, what would you want them to do?
They are also a team that needs to address, I think, the offensive line at some point. They're getting a little longer in the tooth. Guys are getting older. Mangold's getting older. DeBrickashaw Ferguson's getting older. But it's an old team, right? I mean, you're looking outside of the quarterback position, which you hope you get better at. You go out and you get a 33-year-old wide receiver. You've got older players on your defense. The secondary certainly is older now, bringing in Revis and then bringing in Cromartie. I don't know about Mariota. I really don't. I mean, I'm interested in him only because I think he's got more of an upside than what they have now. I mean, Fitzpatrick kind of is what he is, and I have a feeling Geno Smith is what he is. We've seen him for 2 years now. We haven't seen great improvement. I'm interested to see what he'll do with a few more weapons, but I don't know if you can win a championship with him.
Agreed.
So I just don't know if Mariota's going to be there to pick. I don't know if they have what it takes to trade up for him. But there's something about Mariota that makes me think that at least there'll be some excitement around the team if they got him.
Yep. Definitely. All right. Before I let you go, I saw your Felix Unger tweet yesterday, which is hysterical. I got to ask you, what is your favorite Odd Couple episode?
Wow. Well, I mean, an easy one would be the password. That run, that was tremendous. Betty White.
Oh, I hope my parents are listening to this right now.
It's hard not to have that be the one. I DVR them, and that's the one that I save because I just don't have the heart to delete it. So I think password is my favorite.
Aristophanes. I think the best one is that one and the horse racing one. Those two are absolutely classic.
Yeah, and also anyone with Howard Cosell and Oscar auditioning for Monday Night Football. That was pretty good as well.
It's funny. They're great show. Don La Greca, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's a huge honor. Welcome back to WRPR.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what, just let me know because I love to come up. I love being you to host the show for like an hour or something, hang out, take some calls. I'd love to do that.
Great. Awesome. Well, we got 2 more shows left because finals are next week. And then my friend Scott transferring here next year is going to be our show. So next semester, we will definitely keep you posted.
What grade are you in now? What year?
Sophomore.
Okay, so you got a couple of years left, right?
Yep.
Oh, when I was a sophomore, I had 4 years left, so hopefully you don't have as many years as I had. But, no, seriously, stay in touch. I love to come up there and hang out, man. And you do a good job. I'd like to just check everything out and hang out for a while. It's busy now, but whenever it kind of frees up, it'd be kind of cool to do.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Hey, you know what would help? Call my name tomorrow for the 30K in 30 days.
No, I can't do that. My name.
Don La Greca, thank you very much. A huge honor. Can't thank you enough. We will keep in touch, definitely.
My pleasure, buddy. Take care.
All right, take care. That was awesome. Don La Greca, thank you very, 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 very much for coming on to the show. I'm in shock. Don La Greca is a huge role model of mine, to say the least. I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. I can't believe that some guy who was on one of the most one of the most popular radio shows in the country. He works with the New York Rangers. I'm in shock. I'm absolutely in shock. And again, a huge thank you to Don for that big shout out. Because honestly, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be in this chair right now. And he said it the best. You gotta stand up for what you believe in. You heard him. You got kicked out of the studio a couple of times. You have to stand up for what you believe in. And I did that. And Don La Greca believes in this radio station 23 years after he graduated. Don and Michael K. and Ryan Rucco, another huge thank you. And Don La Greca, I can't believe that he and I are practically on a first-name basis now. Again, that was Don La Greca, WRPR 90.3 FM Ramapo College radio alum, currently on ESPN New York 98.7 FM with the Michael K. Show and the New York Rangers. He also does stuff for the New York Jets. Go listen to his stuff. He's incredible, very knowledgeable. I just talked to the guy about 3 sports, and he gave phenomenal answers about every single one of them. This guy is unbelievable. He's great. Here we go with some Ramapo updates as usual. After the baseball team split with Rowan on Saturday, the Roadrunners clinched the number 3 seed in the NJAC tournament. They had one more game today against Western Connecticut State before kicking off the tournament. They won 6-1. Tomorrow they take on the 4-seeded Rowan Profs at Jeff Mull Memorial Field at 3:30 for the first round of the tournament. The softball team swept TCNJ in a doubleheader on Saturday on their senior day. Melissa Marino went 1 for 3 with a 2-run home run in Game 1. Grace Brennan 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a double. Katrina Buskowski, another complete game, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, and 6 Ks. In Game 2, Grace Brennan went 2 for 3 with a 2-run home run. Nicole Hernandez 2 for 3 with a solo home run. The Roadrunners clinched the 2 seed in the NJAC. They will play the 5 seed Kane tomorrow at Ramapo at 4 o'clock. The men's tennis team is going to the NCAA tournament after beating Norwich 5-4 in the GNAC finals. Norwich, the North Division champion, won 2 of 3 doubles matches, but Ramapo, the South Division champs, won 4 of the first 5 single matches to clinch its 3rd straight GNAC championship. In the professional level, the Rangers moving on to the Eastern Conference semis after Carl Hagelin clinched the series against the Penguins in overtime. They won the series 4-1. They faced the winner of tonight's Caps Isles Game 7, which is in Washington tonight at 7. Tampa Bay and Detroit tonight for Game 6. The Red Wings lead the series 3-2. The Canadians are moving on after they beat the Senators in Game 6. The Blackhawks win the series 4-2 after beating the Predators 4-3 in Game 6. Duncan Keith with the game-winning goal 16 minutes and 12 seconds into the 3rd period. They will face the Wild, who beat the Blues yesterday 4-1, winning their series 4-2. Zach Parise, former Devil, with 2 goals for the Wild yesterday. The Calgary Flames beat the Canucks 7-4 in Game 6 to win their series 4-2. They face the Ducks, who swept the Jets. In the NBA, the Nets avoided going down 3-0 with a 91-83 win over the Hawks. Brooke Lopez had 22 points and 13 boards. Game 4 is tonight at the Barclays Center. And the Cavs swept the Celtics yesterday, but Kevin Love will be out 2 weeks after dislocating his shoulder. Washington completed the sweep of Toronto. They won Game 4, 125-94. They'll take on the winner of the Nets and the Hawks. The Bucks avoided sweep with a buzzer beater by Jared Bayless. The Bulls go for the series win tonight at 8 o'clock. Game 3 for the the Warriors. Awesome. Steph Curry, that crazy shot. They completed the sweep of the Pelicans on Saturday. They played the winner of the Grizzlies and the Blazers. The Grizzlies could sweep that series tonight at 10:30. The Mavs avoided sweep by forcing a Game 5 against the Rockets. They won Game 4, 121-109. Monta Ellis dropped 31. Game 5 is in Houston tomorrow night at 8. Chris Paul's 34 points and 7 assists led the Clippers over the Spurs in Game 4 last night, 114-105. That series is tied up at 2. Game 5 at Staples Center tomorrow night. And the MLB, after splitting the first two games of the Subway Series by big margins, the Subway Series ended last night with the Yankees winning the series 2 out of 3. The Yankees won the game 6-4. Alex Rodriguez hit his 659th career home run, one shy of tying Willie Mays for fourth on the all-time home runs list. The Yankees bullpen let up just one base on a walk in 4 2/3 innings. The Yankees take on Tampa in the Bronx tonight. Tonight it's Adam Warren versus Nathan Carnes. Tuesday is Tanaka versus Jake Odorizzi. Wednesday is Michael Pineda versus Drew Smyly. The Mets traveled to Miami. Tonight it'll be Dylan G versus Zach Cozart. Tomorrow it'll be Rafael Montero getting the start over David Phelps. And Wednesday it'll be Bartolo Colon and Matt Latos. So like I said, Alex Rodriguez is one home run away from tying Willie Mays. And his contract says that he should be making $6 million. And you know what? It's in the contract, correct? That means the Yankees should pay Alex Rodriguez. It is obvious that the Yankees have had a very difficult time admitting that this is a terrible contract. They flat out cannot admit it. They can't admit it. Why don't you just take the blame for making such a bad contract? Alex Rodriguez, practically, if it weren't for Hideki Matsui, Alex Rodriguez would have been the MVP of that World Series. He single-handedly won that World Series for the Yankees. Are the Yankees going to take his World Series ring? No. So why are you going to take away his money? And by the way, talk about hypocrisy. The Yankees' social media, they don't technically work for the Yankees. Remember that whole big thing when A-Rod wasn't mentioned ever? Like, he had a bunch of home runs, and they mentioned Slade Heathcott. Now, every Yankee social media thing is counting down. They're counting down his home runs. And so is the MLB Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that. Whether he or she, whoever tweets for the Yankees, works for the Yankees or not, don't be so hypocritical. Alex Rodriguez is a disgrace to baseball. He's a cheater. He's a liar. We know. He shouldn't even be in the same sentence as Willie Mays. He shouldn't even have as many home runs as Willie Mays. Or should he? Because assuming he's clean right now, he's on pace for 32 home runs this year. Honestly, he might not have even needed steroids if he always had this much talent. But that's beside the point. And on pace, he's not going to hit 30-some home runs. As much of a cheat he is, the Yankees are wrong in this situation. Didn't they say when Alex Rodriguez had his big apology, quote unquote, didn't they say that the matter was done with? Obviously, the matter's not done with because you still have contract issues. Does he deserve it? No. But does he deserve that ring from 2009? He still has it, right? So give him his money. He doesn't deserve the money, but you wrote the contract. Unless if somewhere in the contract it says this whole contract is void if you are guilty of taking steroids, so-and-so. Something along those lines. If something like that is in the contract, then don't give him his money. But you know what? I highly doubt that is in the contract. So you know what? Pay up. You're already giving this guy $60 million for the next 3 years. What's another $6 million? I know it's not my money, and I know It's going to be hard to just get rid of that money, but you signed the contract. You wrote the contract. And now you're going to be so hypocritical. Speaking of the Yankees, a huge, huge series win against the Mets this weekend. Honestly, the Yankees have proven that they can compete. They took 3 of 4 against Detroit. They took 2 of 3 against the Mets. They've won 8 of their last 10. After that abysmal start, no one was expecting that. No one was expecting that. They took 5 of 7 games against the 2 best teams in the majors. And Detroit's offense is incredible. The New York Mets pitching staff has been incredible. And what do? They put up 6 runs against DeGrom. They put up 6 or so against the Mets on Sunday. Harvey, they were never going to do anything. But no one expected them to go 8 of their last 10. Right now, they are 11-8. Let's do the math really quickly. They're probably not going to, but right now, hold on, they are on pace for 94 wins. I had them at 82. Are they going to finish with 94 wins? I don't think so. But at this rate, that's a playoff team. They're tied for first in the American League East right now. I know, there's 5 months left into the season. They've only played 19 games. But you know what? 5 of 7 against 2 top teams in the league. 4 of them against Detroit with a great offense on the road. And 3 of them against the best team in the league, the Mets, when they were the Kings of New York for a short while. No one expected that. When the Yankees' offense is there, it's there. They've scored 14. They've scored 13. They've scored 9. They've scored 6 twice. Entering tonight, they have the second most runs in the MLB. Behind Baltimore, I think. Because Baltimore just put up an 18 spot yesterday. Second most home runs in the MLB. 1 behind Baltimore. The top 3. Well, actually, it's Baltimore has 26, and the Yankees and the Blue Jays have 25. So 3 teams are in the top 2 spots. 3 teams in the AL East. That goes to show you that this division is going to go down to the wire. Now, the one thing I am concerned about is that they're in the bottom half of hits, and I think they're in the bottom half of average. Their team average is like 239, I think. The Yankees cannot trust the long ball forever. They need to learn how to hit. Because the long ball is not going to work against good pitchers, a.k.a. Matt Harvey. And now things are just getting better. They have what I think should be an easy series against Tampa this week. So let's hope that they can hit heading into Boston over the weekend. Because Boston is going to be a big, big series on the road. This week, they're facing pitchers they can hit against, both with contact and with the long ball. And this bullpen has been unreal. I think they have the 3rd best ERA behind Kansas City and the Mets. I think. I can't remember. But last night, 4 2/3 innings of shutout ball, 1 walk, no hits, 4 strikeouts, 3 of them by Dellin Betances. The last 3 starters for the Yankees are CC Sabathia, Nathan Eovaldi, and Adam Warren. This bullpen is a huge, it's going to be, let me rephrase that. They're going to play a huge factor when those 3 guys throw. Because CC, we never know what can happen to him. Eovaldi, same thing. He struggles a lot after the 5th inning. And Adam Warren, well, he's Adam Warren. You just never know. You assume Tanaka and Pineda will go 6+. But CC and Eovaldi struggle. And again, Adam Warren is a question mark. The bullpen is a huge, huge strength for this team. But CC, Eovaldi, and Warren need to go the distance in order to save these arms. Chasen Shreve and Chris Martin, and all these guys, they can't throw every day. Asmo Rogers can't come into relief 3 innings a day every day. He can't do it. That's why the Tanaka and Pineda, they're probably going to go 6+ every time they're out, you assume. So that's huge. That's a huge break for this team. But you know what? Those last 3, they got to start working the distance. Because right now, this bullpen is a strength. But it can become a weakness very quickly if their arms are tired. Now, speaking of the Yankees and the Mets, there were, after Friday's game, it was a 6-1 final, I think. Yeah. The Yankees torched Jacob deGrom. Teixeira had 2 home runs. Ellsbury had a home run. And after Friday's game, so many Yankee fans had the audacity to go all over social media and say, there's only one team in New York. You guys will never beat us. We are the Kings of New York, and it's no question. It is one game. After that game, the Yankees and Mets played each other twice more. And they don't play again until September. 3 more games. Just because they won one game, and now just because they won the series, that does not make them the Kings of New York. Historically, it's no contest that they are. 27 titles against 2. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Casey Stengel, Billy Martin, Roger Maris, Tom Mattingly. Who's the best Met of all time? Mike Piazza, Tom Seaver? They would barely even make the top 10 on greatest Yankees of all time. But right now, I'm sorry, Yankee fans, the Yankees are not the Kings of New York. Met fans, don't get too ahead of yourself, because I don't think the Mets are either. Because they just lost the series. There's no King of New York right now. It was the Mets entering the series, and now that the Yankees just beat them in 3 games, we won't have an answer for a while. But Yankee fans judge so much based on one game. Relax. Where you got the Mets can't beat you. Oh, really? The Mets swept the Yankees in 4 games, 2 at Yankee Stadium, 2 at Citi Field, in that 4-game series in May or June, whatever it was, a couple years ago. I'm sick and tired of the Kings of New York rivalry. As a Yankee fan, the thing that I'm most concerned about is if the Yankees win. The next 4 things I'm concerned about, or if the Orioles lose, the Red Sox lose, the Rays lose, and the Blue Jays lose. And then everything else after that is the rest of the American League because of the wild card. The National League, I could not care less about what they do. This is like the Giants and Jets. There are Giant fans who care more about the Jets losing than the Giants winning. The Giants and Jets play each other once every 4 years. The Yankees and Mets play each other 4 to 6 times a year in 162 games. You want me to do the math? I'll do the math right now. Let's assume this year they're playing 6 times. 6 divided by 162. That is 3.7% of the MLB season. You want to do the math for how much that equals in NFL terms? How many quarters are there in a NFL season? 64. Okay, so I don't even know how you would do the math. 3.5 times 64, something like that? I don't even know. But you know what? The Yankees and Mets play each other the equivalent to probably a 2 quarters in an NFL game, if that. So stop caring so much about what the other team in New York does. Your first priority should be what your team does. Your second priority should be what the other 4 teams in your division do. And now Met fans are, I got to be honest with you, I'm trashing Yankee fans right now, but you know what, Met fans? Sometimes you do the same thing. I get that Met fans are excited. It's rare that they're better than the Yankees. It's rare that they shut down the Yankees like they did on Saturday with Harvey. I'm excited for them. I want them to do well. But there is no need to go so insane about being better. I get it. You're not used to being better than the Yankees. I'm not bragging about the Yankees. I'm just stating facts. But you're going insane over nothing. You're going insane over 3 games. Well, before the series, it was what? 16 games, something like that? It's April. And you just lost a series to them. I have a lot of respect for the Mets. And again, I'm rooting for them to do very, very well this year. But Met fans and Yankee fans, ease up. There is a long, 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 long time left in the season. No one is the king of New York. There won't be a king of New York until one of these teams is significantly worse. And you know what? The Yankees are not significantly worse. Why? Because A, they're 3 games behind the Mets. B, the Yankees' defense is a lot better than the Mets' defense. The Mets' defense is atrocious. Michael Dyer, did you see that throw last night? It was a ground ball. Wilmer Flores can't field. Daniel Murphy, you heard me and Don talk about it before. It's abysmal. Lucas Duda and Eric Campbell right now aren't great fielders, but Eric Campbell's just filling in for David Wright. Only 2 good fielders on that team are Granderson and Lagares. Meanwhile, everyone on the Yankees is a plus defender, except Didi Gregorius, but he'll be fine. He's nervous. He's pressing to impress. So he'll be fine, don't worry. There's no King of New York. There won't be for a while. So just relax. Just relax. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Ryan Morik Show. A huge, huge thank you to Don La Greca for coming on to the show. Hope that's not the first time. I hope this happens a lot more. It was awesome to have you on the show. Next time I'll be on the air, Thursday, 6 o'clock. It's not goodbye. See you later. Take care, everybody. See you on Thursday at 6.
Yeah, they giving it up. Low life, yo life. Boy, we living it up. Taking chances while we dancing in the party for sure. Slip my when she got in the back up. Looking at me strange, but you know I don't care. Step up in this, just a swinging mic. Talking, walk if you're down with this. Take up with some and take this.